To start your morning, or perhaps right before bed, you probably reach for something that looks exactly like this. It's a standard orange bottle filled with daily medication that feels as local and permanent as the pharmacy down the street. But right now, the availability of those pills is directly tied to the escalating military tensions involving Iran, Israel, and the United States. While news cycles focus on troop movements and naval deployments, there is a silent casualty hidden in the background. Our modern medical system relies on a hyper-globalized, heavily interconnected supply chain, and right now, those delicate connections are at risk of snapping entirely. If a localized conflict erupts in the Middle East, it will trigger a worldwide shortage of life-saving drugs and drive medical costs to heights we haven't seen before. The reality is, the health of the people in your home is now completely dependent on the stability of a geopolitical battlefield thousands of miles away. To understand why, we have to look at how drugs are actually made. Long before a pill reaches a sterile lab, it starts here, as an active pharmaceutical ingredient, or API. An API is simply the core chemical precursor required to give any medication its actual therapeutic effect. This map displays the global origin of those critical chemicals. You can see a massive concentration of global production localized in just two countries, India and China. Now, watch how those raw materials travel from Asian factories to Western drug manufacturers. The shipping volume, represented by these thick data lines, must converge and pass directly through the Strait of Hormuz. Because Iran largely controls this specific choke point, any military blockade in the region acts like a valve shutting off a pipe. The primary global API supply line to the west is instantly severed. Without those raw chemicals arriving at the docks, domestic factories in the US and Europe are entirely paralyzed. They cannot synthesize common necessities like ibuprofen, nor can they manufacture complex, life-sustaining drugs like insulin. When the flow of chemical precursors through the Middle East stops, the entire mechanism of global drug manufacturing immediately halts. Getting the ingredients to the factories is only the first hurdle. Once the finished products are ready, they have to be shipped out. Navigating massive commercial vessels through a narrow, active conflict zone is physically dangerous and logistically nearly impossible. This logistics nightmare is especially lethal for complex medications called biologics. Biologics, which include most modern vaccines and specialized treatments, are highly sensitive and require a cold chain, a strictly controlled, constantly refrigerated environment from the factory all the way to the patient. If military action damages the surrounding infrastructure, cutting power to ports, cratering roads, and grounding flights, maintaining that unbroken cold chain physically cannot happen. So even if international aid organizations manage to secure these crucial supplies, the broken logistics network guarantees that life-saving medicines will simply spoil in their crates before reaching vulnerable populations. Beyond the physical shortages, this crisis guarantees a severe economic shock. The sudden scarcity of those raw APIs artificially drives up the base acquisition costs for drug manufacturers. Supply plummets, and the price of the remaining ingredients skyrockets. At the exact same time, geopolitical instability inevitably triggers a massive spike in global crude oil prices. Expensive oil means the baseline cost to transport anything by air, sea, or road jumps dramatically. Add in the massive increases in maritime insurance premiums for commercial ships operating near a war zone, and the total cost to move a single box of pills compounds rapidly. These compounded conflict premiums are not going to be absorbed by pharmaceutical corporations. They will be passed directly to you, appearing as higher pharmacy copays and spiked health insurance rates. The physical war also creates a silent administrative crisis. Regulatory agencies simply cannot send personnel into affected or adjacent regions. That means routine safety inspections of manufacturing facilities completely halt. European agencies face identical inspection blackouts, which paralyzes safety oversight across multiple continents. And there is a massive opportunity cost here. International health organizations will be forced to pivot their resources toward managing the immediate crisis of drug shortages. Consequently, the rigorous review and approval of groundbreaking, complex therapies, like new treatments for Alzheimer's or rare genetic disorders, grinds to a halt. Redirecting every resource to manage current shortages leaves the research for future cures entirely stalled. In the long term, this crisis exposes a critical vulnerability. Western governments are realizing that relying on distant suppliers for critical survival goods is a massive national security risk. This panic triggers pharmaceutical nationalism. This is an aggressive, desperate push by Western governments to reshore drug manufacturing back within their own borders, attempting to close themselves off to secure their own supplies. But the harsh reality is that duplicating these massive, highly specialized production networks domestically is a glacially slow and financially staggering process. Attempting will permanently inflate drug prices for everyone. It leaves us with a stark realization. The world is so deeply connected that a localized conflict on the other side of the planet dictates exactly what is or isn't sitting on the shelf in your medicine cabinet.